For the Wright family of St. Louis, Black History Month is not confined by the bounding box of February.
Black history is every month. You don't wait till February and put it back in the closet.
Or in their case, back on the shelf. Dr. John Wright Sr., his wife Sylvia, and their son, Dr. John Wright Jr., are the authors of Extraordinary Black Missourians, with its cast of characters expanded in a new second edition.
There's so many people that aren't aware of contributions that have been made by people of color. There's so much that's left out of history. To suit a particular narrative, this book helps check some of that dishonesty.
For example, take the story of James Beckworth, a fur trapper from St. Louis who discovered an important pass through the Sierra Nevada mountains, an accomplishment so important it was celebrated in the film Tomahawk. But in the film, James Beckworth is called Saul Beckworth, and worse yet,
he was played by a white guy. So they saw the movie, they saw Jim Beckworth, but to them, everyone who saw the white guy did that. So you have to make sure kids, black and white, get a true picture of history.
The first chapter in the book is the story of Archer Alexander, a fugitive slave living in St. Louis, who needed a place to hide after foiling a plot to booby-trap a bridge used by Union soldiers. He found safe harbor thanks to William Greenleaf Eliot, the founder of Washington University, who also helped create the controversial Freedman's Monument in Washington, D.C. It was Eliot who convinced the sculptor the model for the man being emancipated should be St. Louis's Archer Alexander. One of the really interesting stories in the book was Kathy Williams, or William Kathy, depending on how you tell the story.
Yes. She was the only known female Buffalo soldier. There may have been others. She got a commission right here in St. Louis at Jefferson Barracks. She hid her identity during the war. I mean, it's hard to do that, but she did. And when she applied for her pension, they wouldn't give it to her.
In the HBO docudrama about the Tuskegee Airmen, a fighter pilot called Hannibal Lee takes Eleanor Roosevelt up in a plane. The story is true, but that pilot's real name was not Hannibal Lee.
That was Charles Anderson, and from U City, who was a meteorologist who did that. From our town, from where I went to high school, a town where I did most of my growing up. I didn't know that was Charles Anderson.
In that same film, that same fictional Hannibal Lee takes out a German destroyer, but in real life, that was Wendell Pruitt from St. Louis, the Pruitt in the name of the Pruitt School, and perhaps better known, the Pruitt-Igoe housing complex. Among the lesser-known names is Elizabeth Keckley, an enslaved seamstress who bought her freedom and became the dressmaker for Mary Todd Lincoln. And the list goes on and on. The Wright family are all educators by profession, but they did not set out to write a textbook. It's more of a handbook, really, about using the tools you have to build a future you thought you could only imagine.
I think we'd have more of an interest in the present if we knew more about the past.
I suppose the thing that's really interesting about this is that not only were these people great, but they had to put up with so much more and overcome so much more to eventually achieve their greatness. It's amazing that any of them succeeded.
But it's a good story to tell kids. You see what they did and all the obstacles they had to overcome, you can do the same thing. You don't have half the battle to fight that they had. So you can do it. We'll see you at the top. Come on, let's go.